But I think one thing that we forget, or maybe it's just been a while since we've considered it, is that as children of God, our very definition is refugee. Displaced from a nation that cannot protect us, of which we no longer belong, having come out war-torn and battered, beaten, having come out of a place. Now let's really spiritualize it so we don't lose anybody, because we don't see ourselves this way a lot of times. But coming out of sin and violence and hell and a kingdom that is against us from the start, we are seeking refuge in the arms of a Father who's the master of the storm, who's our strong tower, who's our very present help in time of trouble. We are seeking something greater than ourselves, or we wouldn't be here today, and we would not have turned to Christ, and we would not be serving the Lord, because we knew that we no longer belonged, and so we turned to someone who accepted us. Ultimately, we were refugees with nowhere to go and turned to the sanctuary city that is our Father. So whatever your politics are, I think it always helps to put yourself in other people's shoes. It also always helps to see it from the lens of heaven. So from the lens of heaven, maybe it's not a geopolitical issue. Maybe for God, it starts with how He brought us in as people of God and as believers. And let's make sure that we're in the book. Psalms chapter 46, verse 1. God is our refuge and our strength, a very present help in trouble. Actually, in the Hebrew, an abundantly available help in trouble. Therefore, we will not fear. Why will we not fear? When you see a therefore, you need to know what it's there for. Why will we not fear? Because God is our refuge and our strength and a very present help in our trouble. Therefore, we will not fear, even though the earth is removed, even though the mountains would be carried into the midst of the sea. This is metaphorical. The author of Psalms doesn't assume that the earth is actually going to be removed out from under us and the mountains carried into the sea, but he's trying to say to you, even if your world fell apart, even if the earth that you knew, even if this family stability, your job, your government, your finance, your politics, yourself, your emotions, if all of it fell apart, if your earth melted away, though the waters roar and be troubled, though the mountains shake with its swelling, Selah. And if you go on down, this chapter will repeat, God is our refuge. And then if you go on down to the very last verse of the chapter, it will repeat, God is our refuge 3 times in this song. And they would stand and sing these songs, the children of Israel would. So it was repetitive. And how many of you know we can memorize lyrics if we put music to them? You memorize a whole lot more than you think you can. Someone handed you a script and said, I want you to be in this play. A lot of us might freak out and go, I can't memorize all these words. But if you put it to music and play it over and over again, you memorize every word. That's how you know all those Garth Brooks songs. Or whatever it is that you know. That's how you know them, because you heard the music to them over and over and you got all these lyrics where they come from. The children of Israel learned that, so they learned how to understand and comprehend the theology of God was to put music under it. So they wrote the book of Psalms, and they would sing these over and over again. So God is our refuge is repeated 3 times in the song, because that's the chorus. So that no matter what's going on in the verse, the chorus of our life is, God is my refuge. God takes care of me. You need a refuge when you are in trouble, right? He's our refuge in time of trouble, which tells me that when you're in trouble, you're a refugee. And when you're a refugee with nowhere to turn, where did you turn? You turn to the Father. You turn to God. So He is our refuge.